I'm Akhil Suresh, a member of the closed-end fund team at the London Stock Exchange. I'm delighted to be joined here today by Adam Shaw from ScribeStar, a technology business which is revolutionizing the way in which prospectuses are produced, and also William Belcher from Taylor Wessing, who practices in their listed funds. I'll give them a bit more time to explain now what they do and the roles within their firm.
Thanks very much for the intro, Akhil. So I'm Will, a partner at Taylor Wessing, and we're a full-service global law firm, and I'm based in our London office. I work within our corporate team, specialising in equity capital markets and listed funds work, acting for issuers, managers, and the banks across a wide range of sectors.
And Adam?
So hi, I'm Adam Shaw. I'm the executive chair and a co-founder of ScribeStar. ScribeStar was specifically set up to make the production of prospectuses much more efficient by digitizing the process and taking away and automating the manual parts that lawyers go through. We found that it's been adopted by a few really innovative law firms like Taylor Wessing, who are keen to deliver a low-cost, quicker service to their clients by using technology. And Taylor Wessing have been a long-term user of the product since well before the pandemic.
Thank you both for the introductions. And we're going to be touching upon the listed fund market, and this is a very established fund market here in London. There's over 450 vehicles standing at over $280 billion in market capitalization. It's also over 150 years old now. So I'm going to turn to you, William, and kind of explore what it takes to be a successful lawyer in the listed fund space.
Well, listed funds are normally very regular issuers, so they are pretty savvy about the market, the regulations, how much work it takes to produce all the documents associated with a fundraise, including prospectus. So I think being a successful lawyer means working with them to help them through the regulatory regime, and always enthusiastic to look for ways to make processes more efficient, cut costs, and save time, because listed issuers' cost base is critical to their returns, especially as fee pressures increase. So I think as lawyers, we need to make sure that we're adapting with our clients and understanding the pressures that they face. So that's why we're always looking at useful new technologies that allow us to focus more on the value-added legal advice and take away as much of the sort of admin and processes as possible.
Great. And what technologies are you seeing that helps you with this ability?
So there's sort of the more sort of traditional and long-established ones, like sort of document automation internally, as many law firms have, but increasingly software to, for example, facilitate online completion meetings, remote document signature, and the main theme really being collaboration both within the internal team and also with the clients is becoming increasingly useful with lockdown, but also generally going forwards, as I think people are probably going to be spending more time working from home. So when we first came across ScribeStar, we immediately saw that it was unique, as it takes the whole prospectus drafting process and automates it in one place. For example, it takes away whole parts of the process like typesetting, so lawyers don't have to be waiting around at the last minute for the printers to finish the document. And it also works really well with the regulatory side because it automates the whole UKLA checklisting process. So rather than have a lawyer there in the middle of the night doing the checklists, that can all be done at the press of a button. In terms of collaboration, it's really useful because the client can input into the document in real time, as can the banks, and they can all see where the document's at any particular point in time. Sort of looking forward to secondary issuances, it's really useful because after the deal's done, the prospectus stays on ScribeStar along with all of the associated checklists and verification materials, and they can be picked up and refreshed for any subsequent fundraising. So I think just for all of those reasons, it makes a huge amount of sense from what I do from my perspective.
Great, thanks. And in terms of how it worked, do you think in the future it could replace lawyers?
No, I don't think so. You might say I would say that. You might say I would say that, but I think actually the opposite. It frees lawyers up to focus on the more value-added sort of aspects of what they do. And I think clients appreciate that. They don't appreciate paying lawyers to sit there doing admin and sort of process-related stuff, which they don't really see the benefit of.
And what sort of time savings are we talking about in terms of the prospectus drafting?
I mean, it's very hard to say precisely, but they're very material. And I hesitate to say 50%, but it's not far off that sort of time saving. And I would also say in lockdown, it's particularly useful because the obvious difficulties of not being able to meet up face to face.
And in terms of IPOs versus kind of other transactions, can it be used across multiple types of documents?
Absolutely. So it's not just limited to prospectuses. It's available for public company circulars and other shareholder documentation. And I understand that ScribeStar are looking at a sort of a wider use of ScribeStar for other types of documents as well. So you can see that the foundation that's already in place is easily translatable into those types of other documents. And
do you see the adoption of technology by lawyers being utilized more in the listed funds market?
I do, and as mentioned, a lot of it is about efficiency for issuers, and I think products like ScribeStar just enable those efficiencies to be driven, and increasingly, we see ScribeStar being a differentiator for us in front of clients if they're sort of aware that we're sort of familiar with using it and willing to use new technologies and can explain the benefits. They quickly come on board with that.
Great, thanks, William. So Adam, turning to you, it seems like you found some fans with Taylor Wessing with ScribeStar. Are you planning to grow ScribeStar within the listed funds market?
I mean, we have seen quite a lot of interest from listed funds, particularly because they like the fact that we can produce prospectuses quicker and more efficiently. They can also then see where they are in the process, like William said. And in terms of some of the examples that we've done in 2020, we did the Sequoia Infrastructure Income Fund, the Aquila European Renewables Fund, the Triple Point Social Housing REIT, and then the Smithson follow-on prospectus. I think what was particularly of interest in those last two was that they actually used digital versions of their predecessor prospectuses, which meant that when people like Taylor Wessing came to start doing the prospectus, they were probably 60 to 80% there already because it had all of the regulatory checklisting and the verification already embedded into it. So it meant that they were sort of at a much better starting point compared to just starting a fresh prospectus.
And are there any other benefits from using ScribeStar?
I think, like William said, ultimately all the parties end up being happier. The client's happier because they can see that the lawyers are being more reactive and quicker reacting and producing things quicker. And the lawyers are happy because ultimately they're being more efficient, hopefully making better profits and having better staff morale. A couple of other things I think we should note as well, just in terms of the product. I mean, we are ready for a digital future as well, because the system uses structured data. It means that when exchanges and regulators are starting to talk about data flowing to investors, then ultimately that can come from our system. And the last point to note is that we've also tried to get or we're hoping to go to a trial with the FCA so that they can digitally review the regulatory submissions through our system as well. And we could also make that process more efficient. But those are things for the future, at least.
Great, thanks, Adam. Thanks, William, for your time. So if you do want to find out more about ScribeStar, you could go to www.lsegissuerservices.com/marketplace/ScribeStar. Thank you.